One thing we can mention when you're lining up your marks, this saw was brand new, so there's one mark there, so that's how I line it up, but you got to be aware of which side of the blade, because you'll lose 1/8 of an inch if you cut on the wrong side. Drill our stubby into here to attach it to our center section here. So if you made the drill guides, they work perfectly for this too. Put that in there, stubby in. Drop your tube in the guide. If your workplace is flat and level, everything will come out just right. Put that in there. Drop a bolt in there for the time being. We can attach it to our center section here. Snug it up. There we have our first tube, which is 90 degrees. It's nice and level with here. Going out. If you made those drill guides, it'd be the best thing you did. It'd be a nightmare without it. And you'll need to make 2 of these. Alright, here we have our center section with our 3 and 9 o'clock radial tubes. This is the top. This is the bottom with the bar right close to the bottom there. We can go ahead and put our radial tubes on. All 4 are the same. I have a circle drawn out on the trailer. I have my marks every 60 degrees. We'll have a template for you to find your center and chalk these lines out. This is a construction procedure here. Take our hoop connectors. These are the 2 for the 1 inch. You'll notice they have a smaller hole at the bottom than these do for the 2 side ones and the 2 top ones. These we're going to bolt on for a little extra strength down at the bottom. We put those in there. And we try and line up our 3 and 9 o'clock, and they should come out right on your straight marks and right on the hoop. They should touch real close to being right on that mark. And then these here we can turn them a little bit, get them lined up. We'll take our bottom piece here. What I've done is I put some blocks here to hold it. Our line is our inside diameter. Okay, what we want to do is make sure, always we have to check and double check that these radial tubes are on our 3 and 9 o'clock position on our flat level surface here. Then this one we want to make sure we're lined up with this mark. We want to make sure we're using a section of our 1 inch tube that's got a nice radius to it that fits the line real well. Because remember, the ends were too hard to bend, so we left them long. So you can shuffle that around until you get it where you want. Make sure that tube is lined up right on your mark. And you want to measure 1 inch from this side Put a mark on your tube. And go 1 inch from the outside here and make a mark. And this is where we're going to cut our tube. Probably want to make sure that this is nice and 90 degrees to the table here. You can take this tube and go between the 2 marks, and you can see there's a little extra here, so we can actually cut 2 inches off of each end here, and we'll get into our curve a little bit better. These tubes are not cut to the right length yet. We're going to do that as we go around. We just cut a little bit off to get into our nicer curve there, and it still reaches about 1.5 inches or 2 inches past our marks here on our table, so it's still plenty long. We need to get that to slide in here. It doesn't quite do it, so we're going to have to go work on this a little bit. It's just ovaled out a little bit from the bending process. We're just going to put it in a vise and try to make it a little more round. There, that slides in there pretty good. 15/16 is what it theoretically should work out to. It may not be the case, that's why we finish this in assembly here. We're going to put a piece of tape at that mark. And we're going to go ahead and slide it in up to the tape. Check that everything's laying flat. Now we got our other end of our 1-inch tube done. So we'll go ahead and make this fit a little better later. That's the goof in it. I'm going to take my blocks here so that our inside lines up. Tube centered on our lines, and we want 1 inch from this side of our tube to the end. We have already cut those. And we want to hold it on there, and we want to draw a line all the way around. All the way around that tube. We want to put our index, at least 3 indexing marks. It'll help us line it up later. We want to index a mark here and on here and on the sides. Get that one done. And go over this one. Do the same thing. Make sure we got our inch. Make sure we're centered. Take our connectors out. We're going to line up our marks, and I've made a center punch out of a bolt here that fits in this hole fairly snug, not a lot of slop there, and just sharpened it up so we can punch a point in here. We'll line up all our marks. Do the same over here with our other connector. And just take a 30 seconds drill and drill that hole. Inch and a quarter 1032 screw, nylock nut, and the half round piece that's going to be in your connector kit, or you'll have made. We drop our bolt in there. Your Allen wrench. This works better with two people, or what I use for this, I don't know what you call these things, but you get them at the hardware store, or you can get them at the bait shop for taking hooks out of for fishing. We line up our indexing marks and we tighten it up. You may need a little bit of adjustment later. And we'll do the same on the other side. Okay, we have both of our connectors on there. And for now I'm going to recommend putting another piece of tape on these connectors so we get those drilled. We'll take our next tube, and we know it slides in there nice. We'll slide it all the way in until it hits that stop. That's important that it gets there. Now we just line it up, center, center, and we continue onward around the tube here. Make sure that's all the way in. Make sure our tube is lined up with our mark in the center. We're just going to work our way all the way up to the top on each side. Put our tube in the center. Mark it 1 inch. 1 inch up. One inch. And we'll do the same on the other side. And that's where we're going to cut those tubes off. Then we're going to make sure our next tube fits in there nicely and continue up to that one. Mark our 1 inch. Put our indexing mark on. Draw that around. Just repeat the process. Alright, that's what it looks like inside there. On the top pieces, the top two connectors, you will have to grind an 1/8 inch off of those bolts, off of the 1032 screws, so they don't hit the back side of the tube. Make sure this one's all the way down to the stop. Everything lines up. We'll take our last piece, our 625. We'll slide it in one end here, all the way to the stop. then I'm just going to cut it off a little bit long. Right with the edge of this. That's about where that block inside should be. 7/32 drill bit. Make sure we can hold these in, make sure they're all at the stops. And then about halfway between here and the end of the tube, anywhere is in between, you can put a mark if you want. It's 1 inch. We could make some 1/2 inch marks here. What we want to do is make sure it tubes all the way down to the stop. Put some pressure on it. And we can drill our holes all the way around like that. When we take our push pins here, they will be in the connector kit, or I'll give you a name of the supplier for them. Put that in here like that. And we'll work our way all the way around the frame like that, all 6 points. Okay, drilling these push pins, they can be drilled anywhere. You can drill them straight in, a little bit of an angle. You come in from this direction. It doesn't matter where these go. You probably just don't want them on the outside here. You want them somewhere from here around 180 degrees. Because the paraglider lines are going to slide right up along here. So if we can get them hidden a little bit, that'll be good. Now we have to drill our radial tubes. These are already drilled with the drill guides. We're going to use our drill guides here too. So what we want to do is put our drill guide right on this tube and then put everything back together. Our drill guide and pin it through our existing hole. Look in the sight hole here and make sure that your joint is tight. And that gives us our guide for a perfect drill right here. For this one, we're going to have to remove this tube to use this hole to pin it with. After we have that drilled and we have the burrs filed off here, we install one of our 2-pin clips. This is also a 1/4 inch hole. And then we can, they're for our top 2 radial tubes. This is the top here, the one 6 inches down from the top. Final step on the cage, we're going to measure up a 1/2 inch from this joint here. Measure a 1/2 inch up on the tube. So measure a 1/2 inch, put a mark, and these we're going to just drill by hand straight through on each one. Alright, now that we have all our holes drilled, these bottom 2 get 1/4 inch bolts. All these holes, by the way, were 1/4 inch for the bigger push pins. The bottom 2 get 1/4 inch bolts because we left a lot of meat on that connector inside there for extra strength at the bottom of the frame. The other ones, we just put the push pins in the connectors. Put the push pins in the connectors. Take just like so. And we can install it on our radial tubes. Twist them, get them in there. We can put our cage together. And there we have it. We have our complete cage. Nice and straight, nice and round, very strong. That's that.